Frankfurt, Germany, once known for its financial skyline, trade fairs, and being the beating heart of Europe's banking industry, is now drawing attention for a very different reason. And it's not just the residents who are noticing. YouTubers, TikTokers, and documentary filmmakers from around the world are suddenly showing up, cameras in hand, to document something they wouldn't have touched 5 years ago. Today we're talking about the influx of illegal immigrants into Frankfurt, how it got to this point, the hard data behind the headlines, and why the city has become a hotspot for online content creators. Let's start with the big picture. Germany as a whole has been at the center of Europe's migration debate since the 2015 European migrant crisis. Back then, Chancellor Angela Merkel's "Wir schaffen das," "We can manage this," became the defining slogan of Germany's open door policy. More than 1 million asylum seekers arrived in that single year, many fleeing war and instability in Syria, Afghanistan, and Iraq. Fast forward almost a decade, and the situation has shifted, but it hasn't gone away. According to Germany's Federal Ministry of the Interior, irregular migration dropped significantly in early 2025. In fact, between January and February 2025, irregular border crossings into Germany decreased by about 43% compared to the same period the year before. This was the sharpest drop in years, thanks in part to new EU border controls in cooperation with countries of origin. But while the national numbers are down, certain cities, like Frankfurt, are still experiencing visible impacts. Why? One reason is geography and infrastructure. Frankfurt is home to Germany's largest airport, a major hub for both legal and illegal entry. For those already inside the EU's Schengen zone, Frankfurt is a transit point with connections across the continent. The city's central station area, known as the Bahnhofsviertel, has become infamous for its open drug scene and visible homeless population, issues that have become intertwined with the migrant story. Not every person there is undocumented, of course, but the area has become a symbol in the media for failed integration and rising social tensions. In 2024, Germany recorded around 351,000 asylum applications, according to official data, the highest since 2016. Syrians, Afghans, and Turks were the top nationalities applying. Many arrive through legal asylum channels, but a smaller percentage enter irregularly or overstay visas. Frankfurt, with its mix of transport hubs, affordable short-term accommodation, and existing migrant communities, becomes a natural focal point. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Content creators are flocking to Frankfurt to film this. 5 years ago, you would never have seen international YouTubers making street reality videos in the Bahnhofsviertel. It simply wasn't on the map for that kind of content. Today, type Frankfurt drugs and migrants into YouTube and you'll find dozens of videos with millions of views. The titles are provocative, the thumbnails often show crowded streets or open drug use, and the comment sections are full of heated debate. Why the change? Partly, it's the internet's hunger for raw, unfiltered footage. Viewers are fascinated by the gap between Germany's image as a clean, efficient, law-abiding country and the gritty reality in some of its urban districts. Frankfurt offers that contrast in one concentrated area. For content creators chasing viral views, that's gold. But let's rewind to how we got here. Since 2015, Germany has invested heavily in integration programs, language courses, job training, housing support. There have been success stories. Many migrants have joined the workforce, filled gaps in industries like logistics, care work, and construction. But there have also been failures. Some arrivals have struggled to learn German, struggled to find stable work, and ended up in cycles of unemployment and social dependency. Frankfurt, as an expensive city, presents a particular challenge. Social housing is limited, rents are high, and competition for low-wage jobs is fierce. That creates pockets of poverty where newly arrived or undocumented migrants end up concentrated. Critics argue that Germany's asylum process is too slow, and that deportations for rejected applicants are inconsistent. Official figures from 2024 show around 16,000 deportations, but that's out of hundreds of thousands of people whose asylum claims were denied. The backlog keeps growing, and it's not just statistics. If you walk through Frankfurt's Central Station area today, you'll see the human side of these numbers. Groups of young men, often from West Africa, the Middle East, or Eastern Europe, hanging out in public spaces. Some are waiting for asylum decisions, some have been rejected but remain in the country, and some are simply in transit to other destinations. The visual impact of this is part of why content creators are making the trip. These videos often mix street interviews, walkthrough footage, and commentary on Germany's migration policies. Viewers, especially those outside Europe, get a shock seeing these scenes in a city they associate with banking, trade shows. Meanwhile, public opinion in Germany is shifting. Polls show rising concern over illegal immigration, with many citizens feeling the system is overstretched. In a 2024 survey by Infratest DMAP, over 60% of Germans said the country was taking in more refugees than it could integrate. This sentiment is even stronger in big cities dealing with visible social challenges. For Frankfurt, the challenge is balancing compassion with control. The city benefits economically from being an international hub, but it also bears the costs. In housing, social services, and public safety of high migration flows. The media attention, both from traditional outlets and from independent online creators, has made it harder for politicians to ignore. Clips from Frankfurt streets are being shared on social media platforms with captions accusing Germany of losing control. While some of these narratives are exaggerated for clicks, they tap into real frustrations among residents. It's also worth noting that the migrant situation in Frankfurt is part of a wider European trend. Italy, Spain, and Greece continue to see high numbers of arrivals by sea, while France, Belgium, and the Netherlands report challenges in accommodating and integrating newcomers. Germany, as Europe's largest economy, remains a primary destination for many, and cities like Frankfurt feel the ripple effects. So where does this go next? The federal government has pledged to speed up asylum procedures and increase returns for those without legal status. They've also introduced new pathways for skilled workers, hoping to separate labor migration from the asylum process and reduce irregular entries. Frankfurt's role as a transit and arrival hub means it will remain at the forefront of these developments. And as long as the situation remains visible, you can expect the cameras to keep rolling. For content creators, Frankfurt has become a case study in the intersection of migration, urban decay, and political debate. For the city's residents, it's a daily reality, one that mixes hope, hardship, and uncertainty about the future. The story of migration in Frankfurt is not black and white. It's a complex mix of human aspiration, economic opportunity, policy failures, and global trends. Whether you see it as a crisis, a challenge, or simply the new normal, one thing is certain: the world is watching, and the conversation is far from over. Thank you for listening, and if you found this deep dive valuable, consider subscribing for more on how cities around the world are changing in real time.